All right, this is like my 23rd attempt at this introduction now, so I'm going to stop trying to make it perfect and I'm just going to go ahead with it. So, as I think through these thoughts, bear with me if there is lots of deliberating going on and silence. With that being said, my goal today is to answer two notorious questions about our existence that I believe are the questions of our generations. The two most important questions that have created voids within many of us, especially myself, and I believe by answering these questions, we'll be able to find fulfillment. And I've been asking myself these questions for about the past 8 to 10 years, ever since I was about 13 to 16. And I've been asking these questions to no avail. Every answer I've found in books, on YouTube, in lectures, have been subpar. They've been with me for some time, maybe, and they've just fallen by the wayside, and that void has returned. And that is until recently. Yesterday, just for some context, I've been thinking about these questions every single day, asking myself these questions and variations of them ad nauseum for months on end now. And that might have to do with the uncovering of the truth, the unveiling of the truth before me yesterday. And it presented itself so clearly to me that I spent hours writing a 20-page manifesto called The Theory of Everything, Wisdom and the Fate of Humanity. And so the theory of everything, which I'm going to be using to answer these questions, is more appropriately called the Existential Theory of Everything. Not the theory of everything by Einstein or the movie with Stephen Hawking, but the existential theory of everything. The theory of our existence. And it serves as the foundation on which we can begin uncovering the truths about our existence. And when we uncover those truths, we can understand our role in humanity and in time and in this universe right here and right now. And in order to do that, we need to go back to the origins of our creation. Because if we're supposed to understand what we're supposed to be doing right now, we need to understand where we came from. And then we can move forward in time from our origins and see the trajectory and where the plan was supposed to take us. And then we can measure ourselves and our progress from that baseline. And if we've strayed a little bit off to the left or to the right, then we can reel ourselves back in to be in alignment with the truth and the plan set forth by the Creator since the beginning of time. And in moving from the creation point, we inevitably encounter the origin of our chaos, the introduction of humanity. I believe chaos is inherent to humanity, and when we discover these origins, we see where we started to stray from the essence of our creation, where we started to stray from the truth, and why. And they present themselves as distractions, these things that pull us away from the truth. And in uncovering those distractions and peeling back the layers of chaos, we uncover the truth. And the truth is meeting the demand of the ages, the answers to these questions. These are the questions that our generation demands to be fulfilled. Not only that, but it's the questions that the previous generations have instilled within us so that we can provide answers for the future generations to come, so that we can play our role in the evolution of humanity, so that we can be a part of the transfer of wisdom that has sustained us for all of time, the transfer of wisdom that has carried the universe all the way up to this point in time and humanity. And in going through all of this, we determine the fate of our age. We determine the responsibility that we have. We understand who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. So without further ado, let's get into the theory of everything. And we start at the beginning of time. And we can use the Big Bang as the most commonly accepted theory about the beginning of time. And if there's a beginning of time, there has to be some intention, right? Because it wasn't done randomly. If we believe it was done randomly, then all of the order around us would cease to exist. The universe was created with order. And if there's order, there's intention and some sort of plan, because it doesn't happen by random stance, then it would be, or happenstance, then it would be random. And so there needs to be a creator that set forth the intention. What we call that creator is up for another discussion. Right now, we're just going to call it the creator. So the beginning of time is set with an intention. What does that mean? The entire plane of the universe exists within this beginning point, right? And the trajectory for everything, for all of existence, is determined from this point. And so the intention for our solar system to organize itself in the way it did, and for planets to crash together, and for this earth to be created, and for the moon to be a part of it, and for non-living matter to organize itself in a way that creates life, and for life to have this inherent desire for self-preservation, inclination for self-preservation, there must have been an intention. There must have been something that decided all of these things were going to order themselves in a way that allows for the continuation of the species, for the continuation of the universe, for the organizing of solar systems, for the continuation of humanity. And when humanity comes about, this medium of conscious is introduced. And this is the medium through which the essence of creation travels. Okay, so creation travels through this medium of conscience, right? And with the introduction of this medium is the introduction of everything we see around us. It's the introduction of distraction. It's the introduction of the demand of our ages. And that's where we begin. So, conscious mind introduced, right? The conscious mind is introduced. And with that, the demand of an age is introduced, because with humanity is a demand. And during this time, the only demand was basic survival instinct, primitive humanity. And throughout this process, throughout this theory, I use the role of the father to help us kind of understand something that's easier for us to wrap our heads around. So we're going to be using an analogy alongside this progression to help paint the picture clearly. So we have a little baby's born. And what's the role of a father for a little baby? The answer is that it doesn't really exist until the baby progresses. So at the beginning of humanity, if survival is the demand of the ages met by nature, then the mother is the demand of the ages for the child. It's the demand for the child. And the mother, representative of nature in all things, in all mythology, and accepted so today, provides the basic necessities for survival for the baby, just like nature provides the basic necessities for survival for humanity. And it does so through genetic code. Ingrained in our bodies is this instinct to survive, right? And that's carried with us, okay? So this is now ingrained in our DNA. This wisdom, this transfer of wisdom from nature to humanity, the very first transfer of wisdom from mother to child, from nature to humanity, is taken with us now throughout our entire existence. So that's age 1, right? This is the first age, and it's nature, right? So it's nature to humanity, mother to child. And we can call this age 1. In age 2, as the child grows older, the necessity for the father is introduced. And analogous to the role of the father is the existence of previous generations. The older generations become necessary in the transfer of wisdom, because nature, while serving its purpose, is no longer enough for the continuation of humanity. And so the previous generations need to start transferring wisdom. So now the transfer of wisdom from nature, or transfer of information, basic survival instinct from nature to humanity, becomes the transfer of wisdom from humanity to humanity, generation to generation. And this child grows a little bit older. The father, let's just keep it black, the father is introduced, right? The role of the father is introduced. And during this time, let's keep it blue. During this time, it's just more advanced survival. It's how do we make it in this world? You know, how do I build the shelters? How do I hunt the animals? How do I provide for our families in the future when you're no longer here, Dad? And the father tells that information to the child grows up with that information, and it's carried on until the next generation. So this is the demand of the second stage of humanity. We can call it or summarize it, how to make it in this world, okay? More relevant from the father to the child would be imitation, you know? The communication's not really there, the language isn't really there, so the child is imitating the father, following the father around, getting an understanding of how we conduct ourselves in this world, how we survive in this world, aside from, actually, here we go. The role of the father is introduced and initially is providing the child with an understanding of how they can live independent from nature, right? So now this is ingrained in them. Now they're independent of it. They're no longer relying on it for survival. It's ingrained in them. Now what? What's next? We've advanced to the next stage. That is how to make it in this world, how to conduct ourselves in this world. And then we move on to the next stage. The child grows a little bit older. Communication is introduced into the relationship. Language becomes more advanced, right? And how we make it in this world, nature and the essence of our creation all stick with us, right? So in this third age, the demand is how to make life worth living, right? So we know how to live. That's like the large portion of early childhood to young adulthood. We establish ourselves in this world because we've been following our father and we've been following the education set before us. And now we need to understand how to make it worth it. How do we make living worth it? And this can be, let's say another blue. Let's keep it red. This can be analogous to, or representative of, the age of beauty and arts and trades, creation, right? We start creating civilization. There's cave drawings all the way up until the Renaissance times with art and the greatest artists of all time, the greatest musicians, etc., the greatest buildings and empires. And that is the third stage of humanity. The demand is to make life worth living, and so it's answered with arts and beauty. And the father's role, then, is to provide the child with entertainment, with fun, with creativity, to show them the world. They go hunting together, they go play ball together, they do all of these things together, they write together and read stories together. And the child, the young adult, really, at this point, is making the most of life, right? Is feeling the joys of life, experiencing the beauties of humanity. And that demand is then met. And then we start to progress into, the next stage. The next stage, which is, bear with me here, we're going to keep it black. So this kid is now communicating with the father, understands how to live, appreciates the beauties of life. Life is now worth living, right? Like the quote from Dead Poets Society, I think it's by John Keating, says something like, medicine, law, all of the sciences exist so that we can live. And the reason we stay alive is for the beauty and the arts. Something like that. Maybe something about poetry. What happens when we have all of the beauty around us? We have all of the means of enjoying life. We want to experience it for longer. We want to live life to the fullest, experience all of that stuff to the fullest. And so the introduction of science to humanity, sciences, law and order, societal changes, all of these things begin to be introduced into humanity. And a lot of this is happening pretty rapidly, right? Like this is just a little bit of time, and this is a long bit of time. And as humanity evolves quicker and quicker, these demands arise and need to be met quicker and quicker. Otherwise, we start to kind of fall off. So this is the fourth age, right? And this is prolonging these beautiful experiences. And that's the introduction of science. Science was always green to me in high school, so I'm going to keep it green. So we have science, medicine, structure to society, right? We have transportation, we have all of this stuff so that these things can be experienced to the fullest. And so, whoops. The father's role is teaching the child how to be fit, teaching the child how to drive, teaching the child how to, make it in the world and beyond, right? So they have basic survival instincts. They understand how to make life exciting. Now it's to sustain that excitement, how to sustain that beauty for as long as possible, how to live a long life, right? And so the information necessary for this generation, for this younger generation, is the sciences, it's the medicines, it's the importance of exercise. It's all of this wisdom about survival, just in a different light, prolonging our existence. For the reason of the preceding generation, though, which was beauty and arts. And then we progress into the fifth stage, right? And the fifth stage, let's make this look continuous. The fifth stage is where we find ourselves today. So, basic survival instinct comes with us, right? And after basic survival instinct, from nature, the role of the father is introduced. The father needs to teach us how to make it in this world. We're no longer newborns. We can't rely on the mother or nature. We need to understand how to conduct ourselves in this world. That wisdom is passed down from generation to generation. It's now ingrained within us. This is pretty much innate knowledge. Now into the third phase. The role of the father becomes enjoying life. You know how to make it in this world, now you better enjoy it. And the demand of the age is art and beauty, music, all of these things, let's say, encapsulated by the Renaissance era. And this stuff stays with us, right? Entertainment, all of that stuff stays with us, and we can enjoy life now. But now we want to enjoy it for longer. The sciences and all of that stuff come into play. Now, mind you, this part of time was pretty long, right? There's cave drawings and other means of entertainment like long before the Renaissance era. But I think the Renaissance era is somewhat common knowledge to people, so we can depict the third generation or the third phase of humanity as the Renaissance era. Then science up until now, right? So what now? We have beauty. We know how to prolong our existence so we can experience more beauty. What's next? And it seems that our age is kind of struggling to answer this question. And the way I would answer it is, taking a look at all of these things, there's one thing that's been important. The transfer of wisdom from generation to generation to meet the demands of the ages. The transfer of wisdom from the father to the child. Well, child knows how to live longer now. What questions does he have? He can stand on his own 2 feet. He can enjoy the world. He can enjoy the world for as long as he wants, in the best state of mind as possible. What now? What now? And the answer is why. Why do all of these things? Why survive? Why conduct myself in this world? Why enjoy the beauty? Why prolong the experience of the beauty? To live as long as I can, to make order of the world around me. And that answer is why we're here today. That answer is non-existent right now. We try to come up with the answer ourselves. We try to answer the question ourselves, and we're left feeling a void. And that's because the previous generations haven't been able to meet the demands of ours. And that's because the previous generations to them haven't been able to meet their demands. And so this demand has been existent ever since we've been self-sufficient. We've been able to sustain ourselves and the beauty around us. And that's when we start trying to find meaning in distractions, right? And so let's just continue this medium of conscience. We start to, because we don't know where we're supposed to be going or what information we're supposed to be drawing, we start turning to distractions, okay? So this is the massive introduction of distraction to humanity. Because right now we're lost. We're stagnant. We have no idea where we're going. And let's take me for example, okay? I'm brought into this world during this age. There's no answer for why, so I try to make up my own answer to why. One of those things, let's say, is sports. Sports become my meaning. That becomes a part of my existence. Sports are cool. They get old quick as we get older. Partying doesn't. Alcohol becomes a part of my identity. Fitness, over-the-top fitness, obsession with physique, although it's healthy for survival, an obsession with it is a distraction. Fitness becomes a part of my identity. My job becomes a part of my identity. And all of these things become added layers in trying to answer the demand of our generation. And the reason I get frustrated as I talk about this is because there are people out there right now just as confused as us. But instead of helping, and maybe they can't, maybe they're ignorant to it, they provide us with all of these distractions. And if you do understand that this is how the world works, and you still decide to introduce these distractions, you are evil. You're evil. And so, hopefully this video can start to uncover those truths for us. Hopefully we can start to band together to peel back these distractions. Because right now, who we truly are, let's say this is nature, this is the nature of man, this is what's been in us since the creation of time, right? The essence of creation is all buried and diluted by these distractions. And if we can peel back these distractions and uncover the truth, we can understand who we are, okay? We're not our job. We're not our fitness endeavors. We're not our sports. We're not the alcohol. We're not anything that we use to create our identity, okay? We are none of this. When we pull this back, that's who we are. And from the very beginning of time, through all of these ages, right, this demand was inevitable. We would progress until we became so advanced that we wanted to understand why, who we are, and what we're supposed to do. Okay? That's the truth for us. And then so what are we supposed to do? What is our responsibility for the next stage, and the next stage, and the next stage? Our responsibility is to understand why we are here. And why we are here is to transfer wisdom to the next stage. And if we understand why, if we can answer why we're here, if we can uncover truths and we find that answer, then you tell me the role of the Father. When we're grown, And our Father has exhausted all of his wisdom and shown us how to make it in this world. And the only question we have is why, and we answer that. What's next? What's next for humanity? When we understand why we exist, and we convey that wisdom to the upcoming generations, the only service that the Father has to provide is love. Because if we understand why, none of this matters. All of these distractions are peeled back. The only thing that matters then is the essence of our creation. And if there was an intention set from the beginning of time with a plan for us to exist, is that not done out of love? It's done out of love. And so the ultimate goal would be to love. The Father has no wisdom to share. Instead, we sit in silence and we enjoy the presence. And we've fulfilled the plan of the Creator. We reach this point in time where the only transfer of wisdom ceases to exist. There is no need for transfer of wisdom. It's just love. And so we find ourselves at the pinnacle of humanity right now. And just around the corner is this perfect state of love, where everything outside of us, every distraction, we are freed from. And in order to begin uncovering the truth, peeling back these distractions, peeling back this chaos, we need to understand what stems from our nature. If it's not a part of our nature or the creation of our essence, the essence of our creation, then it's a distraction. And if we start getting rid of the alcohol, we start understanding that the job is just a means for us to sustain this pursuit. We need a house, we need shelter, we need all of these things so that we can start to uncover the creation of our essence, because the essence of our creation, because of the world that we live in, the world that we've created to meet the demands of the previous ages. We strip away our infatuation with sports. We strip away our infatuation with our physique and fitness and all of these other things. And we realize who we truly are at the core. Who we are when all of this is stripped away is exactly what the answer to this question is. And what we're supposed to do in order to meet the demands of the next generation, like all of the previous generations, is answer why. And why is love. And if we can understand that and convey that to the generations to come, then all of our needs are met. And we don't need any of these things, okay? So what is the essence of our creation? What is your role in this world? What was the intention set forth at the beginning of time? How do you contribute to the ages? It's either through beauty, through surviving in this world, right? So let's take it step by step. Nature, that's within us. The next step, conducting ourselves in this world. Basic survival, creating shelters. You want to build? Go ahead and build. You want to make food? Make food. Be a farmer, right? Go into agriculture. Provide food for the world around us. Be a fisherman. Be a hunter. Be a gatherer. Whatever. Next thing, you want to make life interesting? You want to make life worth living? Contribute to the arts. Write. Create beauty, create music, create something removed from distraction that comes straight from the heart. Figure out your calling, okay? Figure out your calling. And then do you want to help us prolong that so that we can live as long as possible and experience all of these things? Then contribute to the sciences. One of these things are inevitably ingrained in you because they've been in us for all of time, for all of the generations that precede us. And so find your calling and use that calling to answer the demands of the generations to come, which is why we exist. This is why we exist. The plan that's been set forth since the beginning of time. Answer that and we understand why we're here, what we're supposed to be doing. And then once all of that is fulfilled and everyone without a doubt understands, screw these distractions. They understand these distractions have been brought into this world as evil, a byproduct of the conscious mind. With good there is evil, with love there is evil. Okay? Our job is to filter through that, find the essence of our creation, answer the question as to why, so that the future generations can experience love. And if you want to talk about the fate of humanity, if time started at one point, we finish at one point. And that one point is eternal love. Call me crazy. I don't know a ton about religions. I lean towards Christianity. Eternal love, that's heaven on earth. Heaven on earth for all of us. What happens at that time? Beyond me. I don't know. That's the plan of the Creator. But this sure as hell makes sense to me. That's why I created the theory of everything, the existential theory of everything. So hopefully this answers your question. Who we are, what we're supposed to do. The next videos, I'll help us understand how to peel back those distractions so we can understand exactly who we are and what we're supposed to be doing.